Thank you, Mr. Christensen. May I request the participants now to please type their questions in the chat window. This chat window will be to your right side. You would be able to type your questions. We'll read out the questions to Mr. Christensen and he'll answer it. Mr. Christensen, we have a question. Hello, Mr. Christensen. Can you hear us? Mr. Christensen?
Yes, now I can speak.
Yes. So we have a question here. What is the price of 39 watt plus T8 Wattguard?
What is the price of 39 watt plus Wattguard? Was that the question?
Yes.
If I understand the question correctly, then a 39 watt would be one light unit together with Wattguard. Is that correctly understood?
Yes, Mr. Christensen.
Yeah, but that then gives me a chance to emphasize one thing, which is that Wattguard is not connected to one light unit. Wattguard is one system of Wattguard, or one cabinet of Wattguard actually controls up to 500 units. So since we install it in a central power let's say supply unit, like your power board in a company, then all the light units that are connected to Wattguard in one Wattguard actually will have this benefit. So we're not installing Wattguard with one single light unit. It will always be with a high number of light units, ranging from 15 kilowatt totally to 45 kilowatt totally. So it's difficult to answer the question because it's not really relevant if I understand the question correctly.
We have one more question, Mr. Christensen.
Yeah.
Considering service or so, are you established in India or looking for partners in that respect?
Yeah, that's a good question, and maybe I didn't mention this in I didn't mention this in the presentation. So one of the big benefits for the clients here also, when signing a contract with Wattguard, is that there's a full service, maintenance, and guarantee running in the whole period of an installation. And for that matter, of course, we need to have a good partner in India who can look after these elements. So after the first installation, even doing the first installation is something we are not intending to do ourselves. That's why we are having this presentation and coming to India, is because we really want to identify a partner who can represent Wattguard by doing installations and afterwards even running service and maintenance on the system. Even if that part is very, very little, then yes, that's what we're looking for a partner to do.
Thank you, Mr. Christensen. We have another question. What does Wattguard effect do exactly? How does it help electrode to launch electrons easily? What is the process behind it?
That detail I cannot reveal, but I can say so much that the effect can actually be detected if you look to the electrode through a microscope. You will see that electrodes that has been run for only like 100 hours with normal tubes already have a surface that becomes uneven, and that's why they're starting to lose already after 100 hours of operation, they're starting to lose even up to 20% light effect. Some light units actually lose even more. But when you look at to the electrode through a microscope, after having been connected with Wattguard, you will see that the surface is much more even, and therefore illustrating that the effect of having the electron leave the electrode with less used effect, and therefore also bringing less of the surface or the coating of the electrode can actually be detected via looking at this through a microscope, or even looking with looking to the ends of the tubes where you don't have the same kind of shades developed as I mentioned earlier on. But explaining the actual details behind how we do that, I cannot do, because that's what we are going to make our business from in the years to come.
Thank you, Mr. Christensen. Is this technology available for LEDs only, or only conventional tube lights?
It is not available for LED or for any technology that has electronic ballasts. So it's available for conventional types of lighting. So that would be the types of THUs, or metal halide, or CFLs, or sodium vapor, or any other type of light unit that is controlled by a conventional starter.
Okay, that's great. What about any cases in India? Any pilot cases you have already established, or any distributors you are in talk with?
So since the first meetings we had in November, we have had very good dialogue going with a couple of potential partners who could see themselves as building Wattguard or running Wattguard on a distributor basis in parts of India. What we're actually looking for is a master distributor. So meaning that looking for an entity who could be our counterpart who will be our counterpart in India, and in turn actually be able to maybe identify more local distributors and let's say set up and run an organization to do that in the entire of India. Of course, not all of it in the same step, but over time developing this as we go through the next couple of years. But our first conversations with entities in India was very positive, but so far we did not identify the particular entity who we could team up with to have as a master distributor for whole of India.
Thank you, Mr. Christensen. So you said that you are looking for distributors. Your market approach is only towards the distributors, or looking for any technical support or technology partners as well in India?
Well, actually, when looking for a distributor or a partner, we would look for someone who also is coming from the technology side, so to speak. Someone who has enough of, let's say, insights into how these technologies work, have the network in India and so forth. But when coming to India in April, we definitely would like to sit down with let's say entities who are evaluating and let's say driving the rollout of technologies to India as such. Maybe not so much from a commercial side, but more from an authority side. But when we look at the commercial side and who we need to partner up with, that would definitely have to be someone who has a footprint within the Indian market for the kinds of technologies, lighting technologies, or has has experience from the industry as such.
Okay, that's great. One question coming up here is, how would your technology contribute to the labor market?
To the, sorry, I didn't get the last part of it. To what market?
To the labor market, workforce?
How it will contribute to it?
Yes.
Well, first of all, it will definitely, when looking to the potential of this technology in India, we believe that it can create a rather big number of let's say, jobs, just looking to the commercial side. Over time, it is our intention to have a production going in India. That will not be from day one, but for sure there are many good reasons to look at that as an opportunity, and also there will be a potential good number of jobs connected to actually implementing Wattguard in India. So that is on the, let's say, the direct effect on the workforce. So over time, I believe that this, with the potential of the Indian market, could grow to become a rather significant business, and therefore needs a good number of jobs, and therefore attract qualified and good people in India.
Okay, Mr. Christensen. Now coming back to the applicability of this technology, is the cabinet scalable, and could it also be applicable in rural India, in remote villages, where the power demand is not as high as in a factory or other large plant?
Yeah, so the cabinets or the system is actually constructed to fit the environment that it goes. So as I mentioned, we you know, the smallest unit as of today does actually carry 15 kilowatts, so that's already there, a good capacity, but it goes all the way up to 45 kilowatt. And whatever is the situation, we will apply a system that you know, can cope with the type of throughput that is needed. And obviously this could also be applied for, like, street lighting and public buildings, or anything that also is relevant in a more rural area of India. But of course, when you start to talk about households and supply to households, this does not apply, because you need to have a power supply that specifically provides electricity for light units. That's where we connect the Wattguard. So you cannot, I mean, you cannot have from a power station in a rural area have Wattguard included there, and then supply households and so forth from that via Wattguard. That is not applicable, if that was what was in your question.
Thank you, Mr. Christensen. Just taking for an example, suppose I would like to install it for 15 kilowatts capacity, and if I want to buy the Wattguard, what would be the pricing if I buy, and how would it different in the rental model?
So if you were to buy the equipment of 15 kilowatts, that would be an amount around, and I'm now just talking from the top of my mind here and not having the very specific numbers, because we don't very often sell the system. We all the time rent the system. But let's just say that a 15 kilowatt would be around it would be around 5,000 euros, just to give you you know, an indication of that. All the time ensuring a payback less than 3 years. Also with the energy prices of India, that to my awareness is at a pretty high level, even compared to some European countries and compared to Sweden now, which is running very low energy prices for the time being. So ensuring a payback period of less than 3 years. If you rent such a cabinet, it would, or such a system, it would cost you around let me see, 200 euros per month, less than 200 euros per month, because you typically rent it for 60 months, so 5 years, and the rent each month will be less than half of the savings you're making in your electricity bill. So as I mentioned earlier on, you will have a positive generation of savings from day one and the whole way through the rental period.
What would be the consequence when there is voltage fluctuation?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And in the first version of our cabinet, we would all the time make sure that the system would be running to, let's say, to comply with the lowest level of voltage that we would detect or measure during a period, to make sure that it would cope with such a drop in voltage. What it means, or what it meant actually, was that the saving was not really optimized. So in the new version of the cabinet, there's a software unit included, embedded in the Wattguard that makes that let's say adjusts to the fluctuation of the voltage, meaning that you can we have actually optimized the saving possibility by being able to follow the fluctuation in voltage during the day or whatever period you look at. Even also being able to start the light units at a higher voltage and subsequently taking it down to a lower level, which for some types of light units is a great benefit in terms of the wear out, but also in terms of the operation of within the factory and so forth. So that is an embedded feature in the new version of the cabinet. So that will be handled by the system automatically.
That's great. Last two question. What in a case, suppose T8 lamps are along with other type of lamps like LEDs in a lighting load. So before going for an installation of Wattguard, do we need to segregate it from other lighting from among lighting load, or we can install it without segregation?
Yeah, we would always separate those units. So say for instance that you have two parts of a factory. One part you have T8s, and another part you have LED or electronic ballast type of T5. Then we would only go for the circuits that are supplying the T8s. If some of the circuits have a mix of light units, there are two possibilities. Either we just agree not to make an installation because we do not want to have a mix of units controlled by the Wattguard for different reasons, for safety reasons and operations reasons. But also what we have done in most cases is that we would change, if it's a matter of a few units, we would change those units to conventional units and take that in as part of the project. So one of the things we have done already with a number of projects here in Europe is that when even changing the light units, we can actually include that as part of the rental the rental agreement, making sure that the customer is not still hit by an investment cost of any kind, even if having to change a few light units, or even changing a complete installation of light units. That can also be included in a rental agreement with Wattguard. And what it means is that the savings produced by the Wattguard will finance the shifting of units and even more so give you a saving furthermore. So that is something we will handle. In some cases where where we have a too complicated situation for whatever reason that may be, I've only seen a few, then we have to say unfortunately we cannot make the installation because we don't want a mix of types of light units with the electronic ballasters and the conventional ballasters to be connected with Wattguard. That will not make a good installation.
Thank you, Mr. Christensen. That was a great presentation from your side. It was really a knowledgeable presentation listening from you. Thanks a lot for your efforts.
And let me just also thank you very much for having the opportunity, and thank you for coming up with very good questions. I really appreciated the questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.